I think the biggest mindset shift that we've had in this past year is budgeting isn't about saying no. It's really saying yes to what matters. In 10 years, I'll be 48. That's crazy, right? Really got specific. We pictured ourselves at 48, what we saw for ourselves. So we have been truly praying about this, thinking, is this where we're supposed to be?
So we're revealing that we're leaving California.
We're moving away from California. Happy New Year. 2025 is here, and with it comes fresh starts, big plans, and bold moves. We're excited to share those with you today. But today isn't about resolutions. It's about setting meaningful goals that bring us closer to the life we want to build.
Whether you're starting fresh with finances, considering a big life change, hint, hint, or simply looking to stay consistent with your habits, we hope this episode gives you both inspiration and practical tools to make 2025 your best year yet.
Later in this episode, we'll share a big step our family is taking in 2025, a decision we've been planning and praying about since the summertime. So let's get into the episode. Do you want to reflect back on our 2024 year?
Yes, because I think it's very important to be able to reflect and see, did I meet that goal? How far did I come to accomplish that? And just celebrate your wins, because then that really sets the stage for 2025. This past year, I felt like we were really good on doing our weekly budget meetings every Friday. Yep. And that really kept us on track and stay motivated, because we can see, okay, where can we cut? What have we already cut out that we can put into savings, and how we can use that to invest in our future. And doing that weekly keeps you on track. You can't do it once per month, twice per.
Well, it's worked for us doing it weekly.
Yeah, we have to do it weekly because we want those little motivational wins. Because then we reflect and say, okay, how else can we bring money? What can we sell? What can we cut? So I think that was a really big win for us in 2024.
And the podcast launch in 2024 was a big win for us. That's something that we had talked about, I would say December 2023. We considered it more. January, we thought, let's really think about the steps that need to be in place for that. And then launching with Dear Media in October 2024, I think was a really big step for us to putting our goals in place.
And even just getting out of our comfort zone. I personally am not so much, I'm behind the camera. I don't talk as much. I'm just kind of the technical guy. So to put me in front of a mic, put me in front of a camera, it's really putting me into discomfort, which that's where I need to be if I want to show any progress, is trying to get through that discomfort, because I know by the time we do episode 100, this is going to be very natural for me. I'm not going to get nervous. It's going to get there, but just stepping out of that comfort zone is a big win.
I think so too.
What's another big win of 2024? Wait, our health. Even though we started in October 2023, being consistent as to how we eat, making sure we get daily physical activity, whether it's going to the gym, lifting weights, or just going out for walks with the kids, being consistent on that. And also, if we had fallen off, there's some times where we travel, we fall off, our sleep isn't that great. We're trying to eat as healthy as we can when we travel. But it does throw us off our routine. But we were always good. Right when we got back, we jumped right back into it. And so I'd say about 70 to 80% of 2024 was being very consistent, those daily habits of being reviewing our health. And I think that was a really big win, because I don't feel like there was ever a period in our time that we've been married where we were really consistent on our health.
Right. And I think it's just the daily habits, making those changes into the long term, over the year, it's really made a difference.
For some actionable tips, what were your wins from last year? And what's one lesson that you want to carry into 2025?
So our encouragement would be to reflect on the past year, look at everything going on and see what really stood out to you as a positive impact in your life and something you want to continue into 2025.
And don't look at what you didn't accomplish. Don't live in the gap. I always like to reference the gap and the gain. Don't look at the goal that you set for yourself and that distance between the progress you didn't make, but look at the progress you did make.
Because, it's already over at this point, so you can't do anything about it now, but you can do something going forward. So don't focus so much on, like, oh, I should have. And I get stuck in that. I'm always like, if I didn't do this, I get down on myself sometimes about, like, gosh, I should have, coulda, woulda.
Or even if you're trying to eat more healthy whole foods and you spend a weekend and someone was in town, you were with friends, and it just you went off the rails, like we've done that plenty of times, just get right back into it. And so don't look at, man, that weekend I just totally screwed up. Well, now I'm going to screw up the next week and the week after that. No, just jump right back into it and look at what you've gained and what you've accomplished, and then take that mindset into 2025.
I love that. So we talked about simplifying our financial planning in an episode number 6. So if you want to listen to that more in depth, check out that one. Through that financial minimalism mindset is kind of decluttering what we don't need and really focusing on what brings us joy and what our plans are. Through this process, we have gotten very specific on what our 10-year goal is, and that has really made us excited about the future. I'm 38 right now, and in 10 years, I'll be 48. That's crazy, right? I mean, 10 years is going to go by so fast.
Almost 50 in 10 years.
We started the blog almost 10 years ago. Look at how much has changed. Or, well, we started the blog in 2013, but
11 years
think of how fast that has gone by.
From where we were at then to where we're at now.
So we really got specific. We pictured ourselves at 48, what we saw for ourselves. And that has really helped us work backwards onto what we need to do each month to put in savings. And not only the 10 years, the investment really matters for the amount of time it's in there for it to gain.
Really compound, yes.
But also the monthly investments have to be this number that we set for ourselves. And by 48, if we continue to hit our goals and stay very specific with it, we would technically be retired. Not that we want to retire, but this gives us the flexibility to whatever we're working on or doing, it's truly because we love it, not because we're dependent on the income to pay our bills and live the lifestyle we still want to do. And so that was really motivating for us to look at that and say, okay, 10 years, this is what we need to do. Let's work backwards. Let's do an actionable step that we can put that money away. And Anthony had read a book recently that really shifted our mindset on thinking about how we invest.
Unshakable by Tony Robbins. Highly recommend. It's very eye-opening, not just from an investment standpoint, but if you're currently doing investments, he really opens up the door on what you could be losing out on with regards to fees that mutual funds tend to have. And
I've not read it, so I have no idea what's going on with this, but he is explaining it to me as simple as possible.
This, just by reading this one book, has probably saved us over a 20-year period, millions of dollars.
Which is nuts.
And I'm not over exaggerating. We did the math on that. I looked into our current financial portfolio, and yeah, it's a highly recommended book that you should pick up if you're looking to invest long term, but doing it in a way to where you're not leaving money on the table.
So that has been really helpful for us we thought about that and then shifting a little bit of our money into index funds versus mutual funds.
This 10-year plan is specifically with regards to index funds, investing in index funds. There's diversification that goes along with it, and that's why we have an amazing financial planner. And because, I'm not skilled or qualified to do this myself. I just read the book. I knew where we wanted to go, how we can save. And then I found the company that's going to be able to take us to that point. And
who co-wrote the book?
John Malik.
Mm-hmm.
John Malik with Tony Robbins. So the second part of the book, he's writing in, and he has a firm called Creative Planning. And that's who we decided to go with after reading this book.
Mm-hmm. So it's just, we're learning things and we're just going through it as we learn it.
But that's the key thing is when we learn and educate ourselves, we are taking actionable steps. It's not a self-help book. If we just read it, okay, that was great, but you don't learn from it and you don't make actionable steps to go forward with it. And I think that we're really good at that. We absorb the knowledge, the literature, and then we make steps. Okay, how can we implement this into our own lives?
Mm-hmm. I love that. Oh, I love this analogy. So this also helped me when thinking about this 10-year goal for ourselves, thinking of it like planting seeds. So the more you plant now, water your seeds, take care of them, the better your harvest will be later on. And that's the mental note I'm having for this.
And
this goal.
Not like a sexy investment
no
plan or like get rich quick type of deal. It's going to take time, but
instead of us starting another business right now, our biggest plan is to do these investments so that way in 10 years, this will be paying us as if we started a really successful business and it's paying us out the same way. And we're going off a very conservative amount of the rate of return. So this is like worst case scenario. So hopefully it would be even higher.
And as long as we meet these monthly goals, any extra income that would come from that, then we can think about, oh, maybe we could
do something else.
Exactly. Start another business or buy a small business.
But that would be after we did that.
Yeah, this is our primary focus right now for the next 10 years.
And I'm so excited about it. It's really gotten me just thinking in a whole new way. And Poppy will be 13. Elliot will be 11. I mean, imagine being possibly retired, right? Like, that's crazy. It all happened so fast. I mean, Jaden's literally going to be 18. And how did that happen so quickly? Breaking those goals into actionable, for us, monthly steps, weekly steps, whatever that's going to take to get those goals. And you just stick to them each month and you're slowly making progress. It's not overnight. You wake up and all of a sudden it's done. So the steps we took, we calculated the annual income needed for financial freedom. This is why having a budget is really important for us, because we are able to really easily see over the last year what our different sections are for our spending. So we know at a glance what's our
holiday spending look like? What does vacations during the summer look like? We can plan for that. And if you want to take a step further, we can go back the last 3 to 4 years and really see the averages. And that's going to get us to our 2025 budget.
Right. And we're also taking into account that if we homeschool or if we get a teacher or whatever that's going to look like for the kids, like their schooling also needs to be if we want to have more kids. So we're thinking about this from a bird's eye view of what our life could potentially look like and creating the life we really want to live and having that freedom. And I do feel like the financial freedom brings you more time. For us, it's very important to be with our kids and our family. So thinking of having that income without us actually having to go to an office or do anything, like not being dependent on that, but being able to still take our trips and do the things we want to do with our kids. That is so big and huge for us because we would have never thought about that. When we started the blog, we were working, I feel like grueling hours together. So dream big and make it actionable.
Set a financial goal, then break it up into small monthly targets. And then we use the EveryDollar app. It's amazing. I highly suggest it. It's super easy. Brings in all your transactions. You can categorize it. And then it gives you a great overview of, did I spend too much? Do I still have a little bit of budget that maybe I can roll over?
It says risk of overspending, right? It keeps you on track. And we did dive into further about our budgeting. Was that on episode 6 too, the financial one? Or was that earlier?
Financial minimalism?
Well, there was an episode where we talked about how we paid off $150,000 in debt. So if you want to check out that one, that does talk about how we did the debt snowball. We highly recommend getting out of debt.
Pay off the cards.
Pay off your credit cards, right? Mm-hmm. But jump into that episode if you want more of a step-by-step breakdown. So I think the main thing is don't try to overthink it or be so perfect. Just have the plan, write it out in a journal, whatever, put it on a board in your room, whatever helps you. For me, I like to visually see goals, so I like to have things up. We actually just started using, it's called the Big Ass Calendar. It's from Jesse Itzler. We'll see how this goes. We're setting it up for 2025, but it's this huge calendar, and it's on our hallway. So every time we walk past our room, we're seeing our goals for the year. But you color code it, and you see the whole calendar for the year. So you put in the things you want to do, not the things that you have to do. Like business day-to-day is not on there. That's more of just, really that would get very, So we're scheduling our family travel. We're scheduling the time we want to do date nights. All of that is scheduled out in advance for the year, which is really cool.
And you have to plan out the year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's going to be some changes or things that happen along the way, but the purpose of it is just to plan out your whole year and mark those days off, because if you don't take time for your family, if you don't
the example he gave was, like, let's say he wants to run a marathon. He puts that marathon date on there, so then you can work backwards and think, okay, in these
this is
2 months I have to run
train,
these.
Yeah.
So it puts everything in a very easy to manage way to see what you're doing and to say, oh, this is how much time I have to get there. Goals aren't just about what you achieve. They're about who you become in the process. They give you a roadmap to align your daily habits with your long-term vision. Even with saving, even if you put $2 aside a month, it's just the habit of making that happen. You're training your brain to do those habits and make it a part of your daily. And for me, something that really helps me with working out in the morning, I always have to lay out my outfit, even though my outfit is almost like pajamas because I work out at my house. just laying it out and having that there and having my water ready, that is so nice in the morning, especially if I'm a little like, should I work out today? I feel like I could just get into work. Thinking it's already laid out and the thought is already there for me. I'm like, I just go live and play that video and follow along.
So you're not giving yourself roadblocks.
And something that's helped me is I always think about myself after I work out and the feeling I feel afterwards of feeling accomplished, feeling like I got my body moving, that I was able to log in on my Oura Ring. Like all those little accomplishments for the day help me in other areas throughout the day. So I think about that on the days I'm like, do I want to? And I think about myself after the workout. I put myself mentally, I'm like, yes, I want to do that.
And this doesn't just have to relate to fitness. It can be, I want to be able to read one book a week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, set that book right by your nightstand. So when you get into bed, it's right there for you, page you left off on, and you can just start reading. Or if you want to eat more whole foods and change your diet up a little bit, make sure what's ever in your cupboard aligns with what you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put a bunch of crap in there to where it's so easy just to grab the bag out and start munching on it.
I love the book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. I would highly recommend reading that if you haven't read it. I know it's pretty popular, but they have a lot of that actionable ideas of just breaking things down into creating your environment to say yes versus always having to say no to it.
But I love this quote because just relating it on a fitness level, when you go and work out one day, you're not going to see any results. You do it 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. You can't go back and look at yourself in the mirror and wait, what changes did I make? It's the process, the daily consistent habits of going to the gym. And then over a span of 3 to 4 months, you're going to see that changes, even though it's not immediate, but it's who you're becoming through those daily habits.
I like the idea of breaking your goals into categories so it's not so overwhelming. For us, it's family, health, financial, and personal growth. So for family, we have prioritized time together. Family dinners is a priority for us each night. That is something super actionable during the week. And one thing that's helped us is we start dinner at 4:00. I make very simple meals, but either they're one-pan dishes or there's something that we can make in 30 minutes, but they're vegetables and a meat. It's usually very simple. I like Ambitious Kitchen a lot for the recipes. She does a lot of 30-minute meals on there. And then at 5:00, we have the dinner ready. It's not all this thinking of what are we going to eat? How are we going to all sit together? Is the food going to be ready? Health, we commit an hour a day to daily activity. And that is, usually we hit that when we're just doing our workout in the morning. Usually my workout, if it's weights, takes me 30 minutes, but I like to make sure we're doing a walk. And then we'll usually do a walk in the morning at night. And we're bringing Poppy on that walk. She hasn't been going in her stroller as much so that she can walk and get her steps in.
Yep.
And Elliot, I wear him on me. So I'm getting that. It's almost like a weighted backpack. And I can use a carrier until he's 2. But that does help. I'm a little bit more out of breath when I wear him and we're going uphill. So that's been nice to bring them along with that. For financial, we have our budget meetings every Friday. That's very actionable on Fridays. And for personal growth, one thing for me right now is I really want to be able to speak better and be a better podcast host. I do feel like I'm a little unconfident on how I should speak, or sometimes I overthink if I'm saying the right thing. And I feel like I really want to get more confident. Like as I'm saying it, I'm already self-doubting. But for me, it's to read one book a week or listen to a podcast on speaking, how to be a better host. So I've ordered a few books, and if I read for 20 minutes at night, and the books aren't that huge, they're very simple. One of them I'm reading right now is Think Faster, Talk Smarter, and that's been helpful for some tips. But it's going to take the practice of reading the book and then trying it out. So that's one of my personal growth for each week. But what's one for you?
Well, reading, for sure.
Well, I mean, even the book you read,
even just that one book has really changed our financial perspective. Being consistent on reading, where it's just not one time every 3 to 4 days. So I'd really like to get that in check. So,
but also it helps us fall asleep quicker. The idea of reading pages on your eyes going on the pages is supposed to help you feel more relaxed.
It does make me more relaxed, and sometimes I'm reflecting and like, what did I just read? And then I have to put the book down because at that point, nothing is. Yeah, nothing is.
But that's why I think it's important for us to get to bed early.
Yeah. And that's why we have our dinners earlier. And then we also want to incorporate saunas. We do saunas, but if you have our dinner too late, then that pushes the kids going to bed too late, and that pushes our sauna session, which pushes our sleep. So we have
We're
these
very
like
scheduled at
little goals that we want to accomplish, and we've had to tweak it along the way to where we know, okay, if we do not start dinner at 4, everything else is just going to kind of go out the window. Like,
And I
it's
think
going to get
what's
pushed.
nice is Monday through Thursday, I would say we're very scheduled with it. But on the weekends, we're a little bit more lax. Like if we stay up a little later,
Weekends is
Poppy sleeps in
easier.
our bed on the weekends.
Especially if we are working out 5 days during the week, those 2 days you need to have rest. Give your body some rest, catch up on some sleep if we're really
We'll
down
go on a
it.
longer walk on
Mhm.
Saturdays with the kids and head to a park and just really take a long hour and a half. We're just out.
Yeah,
We'll
we
get
do some
coffee on the way
more
back.
outdoor activities other than going into the gym. But I think that's one big habit I want to take into 2025 is being able to read more. I guess I feel like ours is kind of the same.
know. What- do
Because
we have
I
a-
want to get better at podcasts.
do we have a
or just
separate thought?
speaking. No, we don't. We ordered the same food. Clearly, we're wearing the same color outfit.
We're becoming the same
We're
person. This is
molding together.
actually
This is what happens
strange.
after 10 years of marriage.
Yeah.
You just start to mold into
Well,
one.
I love because with the books that I've been reading for podcast speaking, I'm giving you recaps of okay, this is what we need to do. And you're giving me recaps on the finance books you're reading.
So by taking the big goals, you need to break them up into daily, small, consistent habits. And that will equal your big goal. And that will make it more manageable. You're not going to veer off, and you have a solid plan. Every day, this is what I'm doing. It's okay if I steer off a little bit, but come right back in. You're only looking for that 70 to 80%. You don't need to be great every day. Just be good.
Speaking of big goals, this is something that we have been planning and praying about since
Midsummer?
the summer
Yeah.
of this past summer, 2024. And 2025 is the year it's finally happening.
Oh.
I just want to share a little scripture that's helped us with this. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. Proverbs 16:3. So we have been truly praying about this, thinking, is this where we're supposed to be? Because for me, born and raised in California, I always thought that I would stay in California forever. I've never lived anywhere else. Same with you.
So we're revealing that we're leaving
We're
California.
moving away from California.
It's just...
And 4 years ago, you would have told me that. I would have thought you were nuts. I would have never considered leaving.
There's a lot of factors in place. One of them is we are at a point in our lives where our oldest, Jaden, she's going to be going off to college.
She basically went to a camp at Baylor over the summer. And when she left, so she was able to live in the dorms for a couple of days to get kind of an idea of college life. And when she left, she thought, sounds fun to go to a school out of state. Now, that threw us off a lot because I had assumed that she was going to go somewhere that was maybe an hour away from us in California. We're in the middle of building our forever home is what we thought. So that really threw me off because we were going to do her room. And I don't know what I was thinking exactly. I mean, I knew she was moving out for college, but I guess I never really thought through the logistics of her actually leaving. And with Poppy and Elliot being so young, not that we need to follow her wherever she's going, but I do want to have the option to, at least if it was an hour flight for her to come home or something a little bit more simple for her to get back.
Manageable. Yeah.
Right. And in California, we're so far away from everything. That was the first thing that got us really thinking about it because we do work from home and we really can work from wherever. Now, when we first would go to New York, we would think, oh, maybe we would live here one day. But Jaden was in school and we didn't want to take her out of school.
We had her set up.
Right.
Yeah.
We didn't want her to leave her friends. And so I think for us always having Jaden's schooling, she had been situated with that. We didn't want to really pull her out and move her around if we didn't really know where we wanted to be. So the fact that she is thinking about not being in California, we work from home, that really got us thinking, wow, where do we see ourselves? Because we always were here because we were here from the beginning. So we never made a conscious decision about it, right?
That's what kind of led us to our Austin trip where, maybe we can check out Austin if she does decide to go to Baylor or somewhere in the general
Somewhere in
area. Maybe that might be a place that we could live. And it was great. I loved the areas that we checked out, the weather, and I'm well aware of the Texas summers because my parents live there. We visit it for 4th of July every year. It's hot.
We went in August, though, this last
Freaking
year.
hot.
And I don't think I've ever been in August. I was shocked by how hot it was.
It's just a different type of heat that it's unexplainable. You don't want to
You
go
would get used to
outside.
it. It's
Yeah,
nice because it's like a sauna in a way. It's actually really good to sweat for your body. So I was thinking about that in that way. Wow, okay, I'm sweating here. But
it didn't feel like a for sure thing, but
yeah,
it was,
we were
it was
open
on
to
the
it,
table.
though.
Yeah, it was still on the table.
So we met with our friends, Stevie and Cezanne in Austin, and we were asking them about the community there. Their house is adorable. The neighborhood is really cute. And they had told us that they had just put an offer on a house in Tennessee. And they're like, you guys should come out and visit. It's so beautiful. It's so green. They have 4 seasons. And I had a couple friends that had moved to Tennessee. And that was actually one of the only places that I had traveled on a plane during my high school experience. That was, a long time ago, but I had been there before and I was like, oh, okay, interesting. Anthony had never been.
No.
So we were talking to them. They're like, just come out and see it. You guys will fall in love with it.
So that kind of put Tennessee on our radar. Like, okay, it's in the general vicinity of where Jaden was thinking of going to school. And it's a little bit different from Texas. I know the summers are still hot, but not as hot as Texas, that Texas heat. So it was a thought that was put into our mind. And we decided to visit back in October.
One of my friends lives there, and she had babysat Jaden for quite a few years. When she moved to Tennessee, she's like, you guys need to come out. And she had moved, I think during
2019?
It was, I think, during 2020 when we couldn't really travel during that time anyway. So I had never gone out and visited her. And we were catching up and just talking. She's like, it'd be so funny if you guys were here. Like we would move and already have some friends, which I think was a little less intimidating versus trying to find a brand new spot that we didn't know anyone and starting fresh.
And that's kind of one of our things when thinking about what do we want for Poppy and Elliot? What do we want for ourselves? And it's having that sense of community. We do have friends out here in California, but to be really locked into a community, we all have the same age kids, getting into a church, really involved in a church. That's something we were missing here.
Mm-hmm. I don't feel like we're as plugged in as we could be. And I do think it's like a little hard to get around sometimes. Like even if some of our friends live an hour away, it's not that they live that far away, but there's just a lot of traffic in LA. So it's a little bit more cumbersome when we want to get together. We're like, we're not going to do that on a Friday night, drive somewhere. So that does put a damper in things. But we love the 4 seasons, the outdoor activities. It's very focused on just the air quality. You can be outside and less traffic. So there's a lot of perks. Also, for our financial goals, we could hit the savings quicker because of no personal income tax?
No personal income tax.
So, we're taxed like crazy here in California, especially the property taxes are a lot different from Tennessee to our house in California, which is just the amount that we could additionally be putting into our investment goals. Also, why it's nice to have these goals is that the fact that you're working backwards on it, Tennessee even made more sense for us because we thought we can really accelerate all these goals that we have in mind for ourselves. And having that sense of community. They also have a very big health and wellness scene out there, which I wouldn't have thought for Tennessee.
Yeah.
So when we visited in October, we fell in love with it. I've never visited a place and thought I never wanted to leave. I've always thought when we visit places, I'm like, I'm so glad to be back home after.
Also, the vibe was very different. Even getting onto the plane to go to Nashville, people were smiling at me. A couple of guys were smiling at me, just nodding hello.
So strange.
Yeah, it was just very thrown off. I'm like, why are people so friendly?
And we were driving around the neighborhoods to get an idea of where we would want to possibly be. We were driving and we were the only car. It was a quiet street and someone was waving, walking their dog, right? And I was like, oh my God, weird. They're waving at us. It just was.
Do they want us to stop?
Yeah.
Was there an issue?
I'm like, they're just saying hi. They're being friendly.
Yeah.
This is so different. We're not used to that. And it's actually shocking when you go to another place and you realize how much you're just in your own world usually from in LA.
Yeah.
I would say LA has gotten a lot in the past 4 years. It's
changed.
It's changed a lot. And I feel like if you're not from California and you come visit, people are like, oh, this wasn't on TV or these parts weren't shown.
There's this
hard to explain?
allure and glamour to LA that the rest of the world sees, but until they come here and visit the certain pockets or really have their own experience, it's hard to relate to that.
Right.
And even when we were younger, since we've been here our whole lives, we can see the changes. And you used to shoot a lot of your photographs in downtown LA
all the time.
And we had gone back a couple of years ago, and there was instances where we're just getting yelled at.
Yeah, it was actually I was kind of scared, and I remember thinking, this is so sad. I can't even walk around downtown right now and feel
safe
100%. And now we have little kids. So for me, I do want to be able to go out and just feel like a little bit more safe on certain areas. And I feel a little sad about that with downtown because we used to go all the time. And then Jaden asked me recently to go down to the Flower District with her friends early morning. I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with you guys doing that. 2 young girls, I feel like it's not the smartest. And it's sad that I can't, like, that's our city. That's where I feel like proud about. Like, I want to be, yeah, Jay, go out and I don't have to stress about
And
you
it's
being
not the
gone.
only city in California that's happening to.
No.
I mean, look at San Francisco as
I mean,
well.
California, it's just like, yeah, it's tough.
But
that's another topic for another day.
yeah,
We love Pasadena. That's where we've lived. And
last 8 or 9 years.
yeah, we love it. But there's also changes happening there too. So with that being said, we are excited to be moving to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited.
There's a lot of positives that we've thrown out about Tennessee, but what are some of your concerns?
My concerns, the biggest thing that made me sad was thinking about our house, right? And we met with Tatum, our interior designer, who she is actually coming on the podcast to talk about ways that you can make your house more peaceful. And there's a lot of fun conversations we're having for that episode. But when I told her, after all of this work, all these design plans, after all these ideas of forever home, then we're saying we're going to list our house for sale and we're heading out of the state. She didn't seem as phased as I expected. She said, you know how many of my clients do this where they design their home and they realize they can really design the home you want wherever you are at. Your home is really how you make it. And if the community you're in, you love it and that's where you see yourself being, you can always get a little bit older home and make it how you want it.
Yeah.
And the process is what's fun. So that gave me a different perspective. And I did think, it is a house. I can't be so sentimental.
And it's not like we lived
never
in it
even
and
lived in
had
there.
all these memories. Poppy being born in there, Elliot being born there. There's no memories to be had in there.
The crazy thing is
But-
our rental house has become the house that I'm most sentimental about. And that's not even a place that we thought we were going to be in that long.
But that's where our family
That's
is.
like that's our home right now.
Mhm.
So I do think that just being open to that, and there's just been so many things that have been pointing us in that direction that I'm excited for. Change is new and it a little scary, especially because all the places I go to are very familiar. Our daily routine of the things we do.
That's going to have to, it's going to get completely 180'd.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take some time, some adjusting, but to fit our long-term goals, this is where we need to be.
Right. And I think what I've learned is you don't know where you're going to be forever. And to say, I have a forever home.
No,
I mean,
it's-
I didn't know Jaden was going to say in a year, like, hey, I'm not going to be in California probably. And yeah, that's just like, we have to be open to that. And with kids, I think things can change.
quite a bit.
I think that this is also a nice time for us to do this because Poppy and Elliot, now if we do homeschool or if we get them into a Christian school, depending on what we end up doing, this is the perfect time to move before they actually are involved somewhere and have to move friends. So I think that this is like the best opportunity for us to do this. If we're going to do it, we need to do it now.
Super exciting, super scary, but we have a plan in place.
It
We
is
have our
bittersweet.
goals.
So we have to wait for Jaden to graduate high school. Once she graduates, we are going to be packed up and ready to go.
The day after.
Literally. So we are going to list our house probably in May. I would say May or June.
May or June. Mm-hmm.
So if you know anyone that wants to buy near the Rose Bowl.
There you go. Hit us up.
No, but it's really, really pretty. And it's, yeah.
We put a lot of
We put a
heart
lot
and
of
thought
heart
into
it.
and it's going to be sad. Maybe just when it's done, we just spend a night there just to kind of like
know.
soak it up. And then
But I am thinking already that I do want to have that same kitchen in whatever. Like I'm looking for houses right now in Tennessee that have an old kitchen so I can make it into that kitchen. Even though that kitchen was designed with that location specific, but I love the kitchen so much that I think, why not? If I can just bring it to another place.
yeah,
We'll see. But yeah, we are looking at a little bit of older bones. Okay, what I love about Tennessee is some of the homes are made in the 1800s. Jaden thinks it's scary because she thinks like
there's a lot of history
there's a
there.
lot of history.
There's things that have
But a
happened.
lot of the houses I'm saving are from the 1800s. So we will see.
That's our vibe. Just very, very old school.
No, but they've stood the test of time. A lot of them are brick.
The
The
craftsmanship.
craftsmanship is actually
like,
really
built
nice.
to last.
And the rental house we're in right now is built in the 1930s, and they did some minor updates to it, but it's really in good condition for.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, so we're looking for some old bones that we can make.
Just tweak, put a little our creative spin on it, but make it our own.
So I'm excited. So this 2025 is actually going to be a year of a lot of changes for us. Jaden's going to be moving out to college. We're going to be moving in a whole new place. But I am excited because Cezanne and Stevie are there. So we're really excited to be able to hang out with them more. Our kids can grow up together. Our other friends are out there. Mary and Madison are out there. So it's just, I'm excited. We have that community going out there. And I really want to make sure we're doing friends dinners and we're getting together and making an effort to grow that community there.
And this all started from just one plan. Like, what do we plan to see ourselves in
Being
5 to 10
intentional
years?
about it.
Yeah, and making actionable steps, because a lot of people have these goals, they write them down, but they're afraid to change.
Mhm.
Or even these big life updates, moving, having a child, getting a new job. It's scary. But if you have your goals in place and you know where you want to be, like, you need to make those actionable steps.
I'm just thinking about when we were on the plane to Tennessee and we're like, are we thinking about moving here and you've never even visited?
We're just looking outside the window and
like, oh, it's
this
so
looks
green.
pretty. The fall hasn't started yet. When does that
We're
start?
like, are we dumb? Like, how clueless are we? We're like, we're going to move to Tennessee.
It was like 80 degrees. We're like, oh, it's still
I
kind
was
of
in
hot.
a jacket. I was like, oh, is this fall weather?
Bring out the coats.
It actually was cold at night there. And so what I love about Tennessee is they get a little bit of snow days, but it's not crazy snow. So they said when they do have snow days, everyone actually shuts down like it's an actual snow day. But I guess they do get a little bit of tornadoes. So we're going to try to find something with a shelter in place. I'm just excited for a little rain. Like, the whole thing excites me to have some weather, which I know people that grew up in freezing weather, they're like, California's the best
know.
weather. We're so used to the heat that it'd be nice to have a little bit.
We're just so
chill.
used to beautiful sunny days.
Look at this, you guys.
that
I'm
are
wearing a
just
turtleneck
like-
and it's not even that cold outside.
that we just don't want to have beautiful sunny days anymore. We want to be somewhere where it rains and it's cold.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Also,
my
the
God.
Dr. Alexis, when I asked her, like, where's the best place to move in the United States for,
Optimal
Yeah.
sun.
she was saying California. No. I did ask her off air. I said, we're thinking about Tennessee. What do you think? And she's like, oh my gosh, great area. I have a lot of friends there. Like, they have a very big health scene. So that excited me after our conversation with that too. And also, I'm only a 2-hour flight away from New York, which is so nice. I can fly in. Mary was even telling me that she flies in for the day. We'll do meetings and then fly back home. She doesn't even have to spend the night, which that is so nice to be able to go to New York for the day and events and then head back home, and I can still be home with the
Or
kids
even just for
after.
a weekend. If we wanted
I
to go out
know.
for Christmas time, take the kids. It's like a short little trip.
California truly is so far away from everything. But Hawaii, that's the nice thing. We're right
I
here right
know.
now. We're going to still have to go to Hawaii every year. But we're closer to Europe. There's a lot of different benefits by being more central. And also, when we wake up, we're not so behind on the time zone. So
Yeah.
work benefits, it does help a lot. I think the biggest mindset shift that we've had in this past year, especially by being super intentional, is budgeting isn't about saying no. It's really saying yes to what matters. And that's been, like, even with the health shifts we've made, it's not saying no to something. It's like, what am I going to gain from this? And that's really helped us stay on our goals in that sense too. I think something to think about if you're listening at home would be what freedom would look like to you. Write that down and let it guide your financial and personal goals this year.
It'd be freedom of time, freedom for family, freedom for health.
You get health, you get off
Mhm.
medications. There's different wins from going in a positive direction. Focus more on the wins than of the negative of what you're losing out on.
So, all that being said, we have our 2025 goals set in place. And what we really want you to take from this is the power of setting clear goals and consistent habits. Also, how financial planning ties to freedom and embracing change with faith and intention.
Love that. Our challenge for you is, what's one step you can do today to make towards your goals? Maybe it's writing them down, starting a weekly budget review, or committing to a new habit. Start small and remember, it's about progress, not perfection.
And I feel like that's a really big key thing, because you feel like you need to be in the perfect spot to be able to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's quite the opposite. You just need to start, and it's going to continue to move the needle. I'm planning on getting better each day by 1%.
Mm-hmm. That's the shift we've had with even looking for a house in Tennessee, has been, we don't know if this is going to be the perfect neighborhood or the perfect house. Like, we're just open to it. And let's say it ended up not working out and we have to we have to shift and we learn things along the way. We're like, no, we actually want to be in this neighborhood now that we've learned about it more. So we're not gonna be so stuck to whatever we're doing. We have to do this for the next 10 years. Like, we can be open to learning new information and making a new change on that.
Getting out of the comfort and growing, and knowing that every journey starts with a small step, and you just have to start.
Mm-hmm.
Trust the process and know that God is walking with you every step of the way. So I hope that you have a great start to 2025. Don't get discouraged. Set your plans, set your goals, your daily habits, and just start.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We really appreciate you being here. Please leave us a review. We love reading those on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And make sure to follow us on the Long Game Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. We will see you next Thursday.